What's up, guys? My name's Cody, back with another UFC betting breakdown, and this is for UFC Vegas 11, Colby Covington versus Tyron Woodley. And this is the best card we've had in a while. This could easily be a pay-per-view, and it's also nice that there's 14 fights on this card. The last one, I think there was supposed to be 10, ended up being 7. Uh, knock on wood. Hopefully we don't lose any. We did lose the Bektik fight. I think they're currently still looking for a replacement, but in the meantime, we still have 14 fights. So, still pretty excited for this card. There's bangers all the way from top to bottom. We did kill it again last week. The only fight we hit on the double on the 2-unit parlay with Brian Barberena and Billy Quarantillo. We hit with Oddman Avatar, Azatar, and then the only one we missed was that Julia Avila fight. And Sarge, she scared me a little bit when she came to weigh-ins. She usually looks super drained, but on the scale, when she looked pretty fresh, I got a little scared. That's when I started to get a little scared, and sure enough, she looks like she was serious when she says she took that her cardio, getting her cardio in check. She took it seriously. Sarge did. She kept her pace for all 3 rounds and was able to just kind of wrestle Avila in the last 2 rounds to get a pretty decisive decision win. That was the only one we missed. We hit our 2-unit Brian Barberena Quarantilla parlay. We hit Ottman, and we hit Bobby Green, Turner, Romanov, and then obviously we had Quarantillo and Barberena in that as well. But then we mainly did well. Hopefully you guys follow me on Twitter or on Twitch where I was live streaming the fights, because we hit our live play on Kroom at plus 455, I think it was. Right before the fight, Roosevelt shot up to minus 600, and it was crazy. I just couldn't pass up on that one. So I took that live. I always like to make a couple live plays, so we killed that. And then I also got, right before the fight, there was some late money came in on Angela, and I got Michelle at plus 155. Or plus 150. I think it was plus 150. So hit both of those. And with that 2-unit parlay, it was definitely another good night. If Avila would have cashed, I would have hit my 6-man parlay, and then the other 4-man parlay as well. So that would have been nice. But the women MMA has been a little crazy lately, man. There's been a lot of upsets. There's been a lot of parlays broken. So just got to keep that in mind going forward. And might have had a little bias, my girlfriend, being friends with Julia, maybe I let it seep into my head. I know how good she is firsthand. I really thought she was a tough matchup for Sarge. I still think it was a tough matchup given the information we were given, but Sarge looked like her cardio looked better, and she made some improvements. She looked good. I knew it was gonna be a step up for Julia, but parlays get busted sometimes. It happens. But still a good night. So moving into this next card, man. I like this card. This is a lit card, and we're potentially going to have double the amount of fights, so I'm excited. The first fight of the night is actually not on the UFC website yet, but it's supposed to be Miguel Baeza versus Jeremiah Wells, and this is a late addition to the card. A lot of you guys might have seen Baeza's last fight where he took Matt Brown, and it was a pretty wild fight. I had a little money on Baeza in that fight, and I was definitely sweating because he definitely faced some adversity in there. If you get in there with Matt Brown, you're probably going to take a little bit of damage. And he definitely, got a little shaky. He ended up it seemed like he just won off just sheer speed, athleticism. He brings tools and he has good leg kicks. He's long. His striking is definitely improving, but he's definitely still there to be hit. And I do feel like he beats Jeremiah here, but so far the line has been set to -330, and I just can't. I wouldn't be able to pay that. Not for somebody because as we get later on in this card, you see other people with price tags right around that are just so much more proven. So I mean, spoiler alert, Colby Covington. You got Hamzat not too far away. You got you even have TJ Laramie, who I would be a little bit more confident in. We'll get into that. Than 3-1 Miguel Baeza. So I've been looking into some more of Jeremiah's fights today, but so far I just feel like I don't know, man. I've seen Baeza get cracked, and then a lot of his opponents before Matt Brown. It's just hard to go too much off of that when there's not like a whole lot there. And so far in the UFC, it's just, I just haven't been like crazy impressed. His fight before that against Hector Aldana, he's now Hector Aldana. How's he doing these days? Let's hasn't exactly been. It says 0-3, but it's actually technically kind of 0-4 because he had that Ultimate Fighter, rear naked choke, punches, decision, and then a leg kick in the ground and found him. Miguel, he was on a 3-fight losing streak going into that, and I don't know. It's not like it was the cleanest of wins there either. So I don't know if I'd rely on him, a 3-1 favorite. So I'm gonna look more into that fight. That's one I'm looking more into. Maybe we'll see what the weigh-in's looking like, but so far, unless that line drops, or if I see something more and I just haven't seen it yet from Jeremiah, maybe I can take the shot on the dog. But so far, I feel like Baeza should win, but I'm not going to pay that price tag. Getting into the next fight, though, this should be a banger as well for what was going to be the first fight of the night. Tyson Nam versus Jerome Rivera. And, man, you've been seeing a lot of these... these Corona cards are bringing a lot of these new Dana White Contender Series. Another Contender Series guy here. Dana White Contender Series, just guys from just a lot of these lower level promotions. Just a lot of people are getting the call, the call up right now with these Corona times because they just need bodies. And Jerome's legit. He's got a good clinch game. He's pretty well-rounded. The problem with him taking on somebody like Tyson Nam is he's definitely a submission. Like, I say he's well-rounded because his striking isn't bad and his clinch game's pretty solid, but he wins his fights by submission. And I just don't think his wrestling's going to be enough to take Tyson Nam down. Tyson Nam actually right now is 100% takedown defense in the UFC, and I just don't. It's not like he's fought the greatest of wrestlers, but if you go through his record a little bit, I feel like some of these guys, even Sergio Pettis, he's more of a striker, but him and Kai Kara France, they can mix it up a bit, and we haven't seen anybody just been able to take Tyson down yet, and it's not like when I look at Jerome here, it's like he's gonna have some overwhelming wrestling. I don't think even if he can take Tyson down that he's gonna be able to finish him. And Tyson Nam doesn't have the greatest record of all time, but that experience, man, he has twice the amount of fights, and he hits like he might be he was knocking people out at flyweight and at bantamweight. It's just I just feel like his power carries over so much that I just don't think I don't think Jerome can get out of there 3 rounds without getting clipped. Even if Tyson can't knock him out, if Jerome doesn't commit to the takedown as much, maybe Tyson doesn't knock him out and it plays out on the feet. But if it plays out on the feet, I just feel like Tyson just hits too much. He hits too hard. His shots are just going to do more damage. he should be able to just pick him apart if it stays on the feet. And if he gets taken down, I think he'll just work back to his feet. He's shown that in his in the past that he's not. Yeah, I mean his ground game has gotten better over the years, and I really feel like that with all his fights, 30 fights to hit. I mean, yeah, I said twice the amount. It's actually more than that. It's 31 fights to his 12. I mean, you might have 11 losses, but he almost has as many losses as Jerome has fights. So that experience matters, and you've been seeing a lot of these vets, shine during these Corona times. And even as a vet, I mean, he's 36, which is a little up there for bantamweight, but I feel like with his style, man, like he can last at least like another 2 years, because his style is just the power is the last thing to go. And I mean, there's not a lot of people at bantamweight that can crack like him. And I mean, I don't think he's going to be challenging for any titles anytime soon. But I don't know. Against Rivera, Jerome is a decent prospect, but I just don't think. I think it's going to be a little too much too soon. And I think the UFC is a little bit throwing Tyson a bone for being willing to step right back in there. I feel like the UFC's been a little bit rewarding these guys who have been just willing to get right back in there. And we're going to see another one, Kevin Holland, later in the card. It just seems like a lot of these guys lately, I mean, Hamzat as well, that if you're willing to, and obviously these guys have some hype behind them as well, but I feel like, I mean, that's a decent part of the reason right there is just, Dana and the UFC, they love that. I mean, at the end of the day, that's how they make their money. So if you're willing to get in there as quickly as possible, the better for them. So even if you lose. So I feel like they're throwing him a little bit of a bone. I feel like this is a good matchup. I feel like Tyson, he's going to knock him out. I think at some point he's going to catch him with something. He's going to knock him out. Even if he can knock him out, I think he's going to land the bigger shots and be able to take 2 rounds at least. So definitely have Tyson Nam here, and I actually have a little bit of a bet on him. I think I got him at like minus 175, which is right where it's about still right now. So Tyson Nam, I like him a lot in this fight. It's a little bit of a price to pay for someone with 11 losses, but man, records don't mean everything. And I only say 11 losses because, someone who's lost a third of his fights almost, you could say, oh, well, statistically, shouldn't you? Yeah, but this is MMA, and those losses count for something. Sometimes a loss makes me want to bet a fighter more than a win. So give me Tyson Nam at minus 175. I'll take that all day. Getting into this next fight, though, we have Darrick Minner against TJ Laramie, another Dana White Contender Series guy. And these guys have been all over these cards. And TJ Laramie, man, him and his brother are really big prospects. I really feel like these guys, there's been a lot of these contenders lately that have just kind of been busting. Pause. Kind of been busts in the UFC. And I feel like him and his brother, man, they're pretty legit. And that grappling, I mean, he should be able to take Minner down pretty much at will here. I mean, Darrick is a finisher, and I was just saying in the last fight that experience has been killing. It has been showing, and I don't want to contradict myself here. I got to let that be said, that Minner's experience, I mean, he has 35 fights against Laramie's 15. It's definitely a big difference, and Minner is a straight up finisher. He could definitely catch Laramie in a submission. We saw Laramie in a little bit of trouble in his last one, which had me a little bit scared. I do feel like, if you're gonna bet Darrick here at plus 250, you'd have to. You'd probably want to do it by finish. I mean, the chances of him beating TJ in a decision, I would say, are very low. If he doesn't finish TJ in these first 2 rounds, even really like round and a half, he's probably gonna lose. But I just feel like TJ's gonna have enough. Even if Minner is a crazy, his jiu-jitsu, his finishing is high level, but I just feel like TJ's is enough to survive, stay on top. Even if he can't finish Minner, which I think the finish is live, I just feel like he should be able to just stay on top. His build is just built for wrestling. I just feel like he's just gonna be on top of Minner this entire fight. And obviously, the submission is the the part that's scaring me a bit. But in MMA, if I know a guy's gonna secure top position, and this did bite me in the ass the other day when I took Fabinski over Muniz, and I said, and at least I told you guys, you could hedge it with Muniz by sub. And right before the fight, I'm like, oh man, he's looking massive. Oh, I started getting scared. Muniz is gonna submit this man. But Fabinski, in general, if I'm in MMA, if I know a man's gonna get top position, I'm gonna bet in general that direction over somebody banking that they get a submission off their back, just because more times than not, when there's punches and the guy on top in 2020 has some jiu-jitsu, you're not gonna catch him in a triangle like you would in the year 2000. It's just MMA's evolved so much. Everybody has some defense to where they can typically, if you can't stop the takedown or if you can't get a sweep or get on top, you typically end up losing. So I have to lean the guy in general who I know is going to go out there, get on top at will, most likely, and has some finishing chances of his own. So give me TJ Laramie. I think he's a good parlay piece. I'll get into how I maneuvered my parlays later, but he's definitely going to be a parlay piece for me because I'm not going to buy 290 straight up. So for me, you could take Laramie. You could do the under maybe, but I do feel like TJ's path could definitely be a decision. So, for me, if you're thinking Minner, you go by finish, because even if you go by submission, get a little dicey, could clip him. So for me, I am not going to put my money on Minner. Maybe I see some later in the week, and maybe I end up having to hedge, but I feel like TJ is going to get it done, so I'm going to go TJ just straight up, but add him into a parlay. And getting into this next fight, Andre Ewell, and I always have trouble saying that name, against Erwin Rivera. And Andre, man, this guy, I feel like he gets a lot of flack. A lot of people say this guy's a busted prospect, and he's not what he was supposed to be. But if you look at his losses, Patchy, Nathaniel Wood, Marlon Vera. At the time, Patchy was 5-0. Now he's 13-1 over there, killing it over there. And he's been in Ryzen, Bellator. Now he's over at Bellator. He did just lose that one Archuleta decision, but over there fighting the best they have over there. Those are his last losses. Even if you didn't think he won against Jonathan Martinez, I am really high on Martinez. I think that kid's a beast. But his losses, Cheetah Vera, we know how good Cheetah Vera is, and Nathaniel Wood, and then way back here in 2017. And first of all, look at how active he's been. That's pretty damn active. That's pretty good, especially I've been seeing a lot of fighters on these cards with these long lapses in that activity. At least here you don't have that. You don't have that, and then in most of these fights he's supposed to get it done. He gets it done, and this is another one where he's supposed to get it done. If you look at his track record, he doesn't usually lose to the guys like these. Now he has a couple losses back here at Gladiator. Got choked once. And then 2 decisions. This was early in his career. It seems like he's made huge leaps and bounds, learned how to fight at his range. He's one of these guys that has that height and actually uses it. Really likes to just keep you at his range and just pop shot you a little bit. Some people might not love his style, but I mean, hey, you got to use your attributes, and he's one who really tries to do that. So I think Rivera, he's scrappy. We watched who? Oh yeah, Al Casey. Yeah, I was on Al Casey in that fight, and it was a close one, and I knew Erwin was scrapper. I just felt like Ali was gonna get him down. It got a little dicey, but Erwin he's definitely scrappy. He's good everywhere. He's it's not like he's some world class grappler, but I feel like he is gonna be pushing a pace, looking to take Ewell down. The only thing is, I just don't know if he can do that for 3 rounds. I doubt that he can push that pace for as long as it's going to be necessary to secure 2 rounds against Andre. And I don't know. I feel like Andre's just going to keep him at it. I don't feel like this fight's going to be a finish on either side. I feel like Andre's going to stay safe. He's going to keep at his range. He's going to be able to just pick him apart a little bit on the feet. And I don't know. I minus 200. When I threw him in a couple parlays, him and Laramie are 2 decent parlay pieces in my eyes. I did hop on Andre when he was like minus 170, so I got a little bit better price. But I still think he's a solid parlay piece. Starting to get maybe a little bit. I think minus 220 is still okay. If it gets to like 2.5, maybe you look at like maybe Andre by decision instead. I think that's a good prop. I don't think he's going to be able to finish Rivera. Rivera is definitely scrappy and durable. Andre doesn't have the most power. He could catch him in a submission. I feel like a decision is the most likely route here. So I'm going to go Andre by decision, but I'm going to add him into a couple parlays. We'll get into that a little bit later, but getting into the next fight, this one's definitely a wild one. I've been back and forth really on this one. Journey Newson versus Randy Costa, and this is pretty. It looks like Newson on at least some books. Yeah, he's pulled away a little bit. Slight favorite, minus 135 over Randy, plus 115, and I don't know. In this one here, Randy Costa, even though neither one of them looked like they have a ton of experience, if you watch Costa's fights, they're all like a minute long. I mean, he literally just goes out there and just goes absolute batshit. And 5 times he got the finish, and the 1 time he didn't, he ended up getting finished in the second round. So that's definitely red flags, because in general, man, I like to fade these type of guys who, they have these real pretty records. 5-0. I mean, you see them like 10-0, 10 finishes, 9 in the first round. But those are guys I like to fade a lot, because they're gonna be bigger favorites than they should be, and until they're tested, until you actually see them fight for 10, 15 minutes, you just have no idea if they can. Especially this style of guy who just comes out and goes absolute like berserker mode, trying to take your head off. He's a big bantamweight. Newson's actually, I don't even know so much if he's definitely big for bantamweight. Newson's also small. Like, he's definitely got a size advantage here. But Newson, we've actually seen, I know he's been to decision at least a couple times here. Newson, I just feel like, what do we got here? Yeah, 3 decision wins and 1 loss. Yeah, I just feel like that can definitely, especially like I've seen Costa fight a decent amount, and when you watch his style, it's just, if you're gonna play Costa, I just feel like you're already getting a good price. But I mean, why would you not just take him by finish, or take him by finish in the first round even? I mean, all 5 of his wins were finished in the first round. His 1 loss was when the guy survived. I just feel like, man, I mean, it's a classic tale of a lot of fights. Randy's going to go in there and look to take Journey's head completely off of his shoulders. And if that doesn't work out, he's fucked. So if you're going to take Randy, that's pretty dangerous. But I definitely think you should at least add Randy by finish. And if you're not going to do that, maybe you play, if you think Journey, I would say, he could, one of these times Randy keeps fighting like that, he could get himself knocked out in the first round. But I feel like I'm kind of thinking Randy really might knock this guy out in the first round. But I did just get fresh off watching all of his fights. So it's, when you see it, it can be a little, that's why I'm going to wait a couple hours. I'm going to watch a couple more Journey fights. But so far, it's if Journey survives that first round, he's going to finish Costa. But I don't know. I think Journey is there to be hit. I could see him getting clipped. I don't know. Right now, this is one I'm kind of staying off, but I'm leaning Costa by finish. Especially now the dog money is there. I think there is value there, but I'm going to hold off a little bit. Getting into this next fight, though, Jessica Rose Clark versus Sarah Alpar, and this is a pretty fun fight. They might not have the prettiest records, and some people might not be huge fans of, when they put them like above some of these. There's some bangers below this fight on the card, and you got Alpar, who's pretty new, and 9-4. I believe, what is this? I think her second UFC fight, or was the last one just Dana White Contender Series? Let me see. Sarah Alpar, this might be her. I can't remember if that last fight was just Dana White Contender Series, or if this is this is her UFC debut against Jessica Rose Clark. That's a pretty decent debut. Rose Clark's had some trouble recently, coming off a couple losses, but she's, I wouldn't say a great, like a fantastic striker, but she should definitely have a striking advantage here. She is coming off that loss against Penny, who I'm pretty high on. Honestly, she's pretty fucking legit. And Jessica I is like one of the most hated female people always want to shit on her, but man, she's the #1 contender for a while. She's fought like all the toughest chicks. As cringe as the here we go, evil, here we go. We gotta set that aside. She's pretty legit. And those losses, they're not the worst losses of all time. I can understand definitely why Jessica's the favorite here. The only thing is, man, I just feel like Sarah, she definitely presents some problems, man. She's got that build, like she's real strong. She's got that short center of gravity. Even though, she says she's only an inch shorter, but she's thick. She's thick. So she's definitely got that short, thick wrestler, and she's going to put the pressure on, and she's going to shoot, definitely. She'll be shooting takedowns. She's got solid jiu-jitsu. I don't know. I think Sarah definitely could be a live dog in this fight. I'm not going to play it. I've had some I swear, the only fights we've been missing lately have been these women's MMA, especially like newer / lower level women's MMA. Now, when I say lower level, I don't mean terrible. They're in the UFC. That's the best level there is. But newer UFC fighters in a newer division, yeah, it's going to be the lowest level that they have in the UFC because it's a newer division. But I do think Sarah's a live dog here. It's definitely going to be... I can see so many possibilities in this fight that it's just probably one that you just want to pass on. But, I think Sarah's... At that price tag, there's definitely value. Getting into this next fight, though, this is another one where I feel like... I don't know, man. There might be another dog. The dogs might be on the female side because you got Mayra Bueno Silva for taking on Mara Romero Borella. I thought the Mara Romero Borella was gonna choke me out. Oh, when I was trying to say these names, and it was actually Myra's. But and this is definitely like like a little clash of the styles again. You have Myra, who's only 6-1, and she's definitely like the prospect here, the one they're kind of trying to build a little bit, but definitely a little bit untested. She definitely has pressure. She got like good low kicks, and she definitely has good power for women's flyweight. She's 29. You got Romero Borella, only 34, but definitely has like a lot more experience here. She has let's see, let's pull up her fight history here. She did fight and beat Jillian Robertson, which is a pretty legit win. She got her by submission and armbar, and she has been 5 rounds once. That's pretty good to see that she could win this split decision, going 5 rounds. The only thing is, I don't know. I just feel like, especially with this price tag that they have her at, like I honestly think this should be more like a pick'em, or maybe like a slight favor for Myra. I mean, Romero Borella has this that salty record of 12-8, but man, she's gonna have a better gas tank. She's got a good jiu-jitsu game, honestly, and this is like we're talking lower level women's MMA where the submissions fly, and I think Myra could definitely be live here for a submission. The only thing is that I could also see Myra just gassing and then Myra wins a decision. So I don't know, maybe you're better to just play Myra straight up for the dog money. I'm not saying I wouldn't pick Myra here, but I just feel like this line's off. So this is 2 back-to-back that I just feel like you might be better off just passing, because I feel like if I play Myra, I could just be forcing it because I feel like the line's off, because I do feel like Silva should win this. But, I mean, who is paying minus 255? I could not pay minus 255 for Myra, or add her into any parlays or any of that. I don't know. I think it's a little crazy. So I'm gonna lay off that one. But moving into this next fight, we got. Actually, it says we have Bektik here, and I think they might be trying to pull a little rabbit out of the hat and get him a backup opponent, but so far that fight is canceled, so we're going to move right to Jordan Espinosa versus David Dvorak, and this fight's definitely, it's pretty interesting. I mean, some of these flyweight fights lately have been bangers. I mean, it's been nice to see them get a nice little shine. And it'd be nice to see as after Espinosa's last performance against Mark De La Rosa, he looked really good. He put on a show in that fight, and he looked, his grappling checked out, his striking checked out, his gas tank looked good. The only problem is, man, Mark De La Rosa, who's cut now by the UFC, with all due respect, he's just not on that UFC level, I don't think. Man, it just looked like he had absolutely no answer for Jordan in that fight, and I don't want to take away from Jordan's win, but I just feel like, man, it's hard to take a lot from that when you're fighting Mark De La Rosa coming off that 3-fight losing streak already, and I think now 4. I mean, let's double check this because it genuinely could be 5. It genuinely could be 5. Mark De La Rosa, I believe he was just cut, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Okay, no, it was 4, but he did have that Tim Elliott submission loss not too far before that. But and I mean, knocked out by Paiva, and then Alex Perez, Kyra France. Those are legit opponents, but it's tough. He fought some tough opponents, but I don't know, man. You've seen him just get outclassed several times, and it's hard to take a ton from that. And I mean, you're fighting David Dvorak getting his shot here, and I mean, the experience pretty. I mean, they have like a lot of similarities. The only thing is, and I really feel like Dvorak might have a little size here. And I mean, you've seen Jordan submitted a few times. I feel like David, he could really be live here for a submission. I feel like Jordan is, I mean, he's really athletic. He gets away with some things because of that. And, you know, we've seen him get caught in some. He might not be the most technical fighter, but I just feel like, man, I want to lean Espinosa, but I feel like Dvorak could take us back. You could see him get choked here. I feel like maybe the play here is it's tough with flyweights. You don't typically want to take the under a lot, but depending on what that line is, you know, maybe you could, because I really feel like Espinosa's going to come in hot in this one, and you could see him blow his load. Dvorak take his back, late rear naked choke. If you don't, you could see Espinosa catch him on the feet. I just feel like either way, there's finishing ability on both sides, especially for a flyweight. And a lot of times at flyweight, you get a good price on the under, so that could be a play. I mean, let's see what they have it listed at. The under 2, yeah. Under 2 is, yeah, plus 200, plus 205, depending on what book you're on. So, I mean, that's pretty solid. I mean, I know a lot of people aren't going to want to bet an under on too many flyweight fights, but, I mean, I really feel like both these guys have good finishing ability and can be finished, especially Espinosa with David's skill set. So that would be the way I'd be leaning. I mean, I've been slightly leaning over Espinosa, but that's another one I'm a little bit torn on. So that one and the Costa fight are really tough. I'm gonna be. I really feel like there's gonna be a couple of these ones maybe after the weigh-in, I get pushed enough to one side, or the lines change enough that push me enough to one side that I'm torn on. But I feel like this is another parlay card, man. I've got into a couple of my parlay pieces on that prelim card. On this prelim card, my most confident play, I'd say, is probably going to be Andre Ewell and TJ Laramie. My next most confident would have to be Tyson Nam. I didn't say that earlier, but it is a little dicey that Nam has been talking about how strict it is in Hawaii, and he's not really getting this full camp. So had me a little bit sketched out for his last matchup before it got canceled. So I've been trying to keep that in mind, but I just feel like, man, he should get that done. So I still think he's going to clip Jerome at some point, and that experience is just going to show. But, I wouldn't put it up there with Andre and TJ Laramie as confident as I am, but I do feel like that's the way it's going to go. So let's get into this main card. And this main card is straight fire. So getting into this first fight on the main card, we got Kevin Holland coming in minus 265 over Dern Stewart, who's plus 225. And I know a lot of people give Kevin Holland shit for not having the greatest fight IQ. And people are always, anytime I back him, they're like, oh man, I don't know how you're going to back this guy. He could find a way to he finds a way to lose, fights shit, he has terrible fight IQ, this and that. But it seems like this guy's making a lot of improvements. I would rather a guy who's too comfortable in there than not comfortable in there, or not comfortable enough. He's one of these guys who's maybe a little too comfortable in there. He's legitimately having fun. These guys talk a lot about how much fun they're having in there and how they love to fight. But he's someone who genuinely means that it's not clickbait. But he has a lot of skills to back that, man. He's just got his black belt, and he just got his black belt after his last fight, and might have been it was right around that booking of that fight, and he's got some nice submissions in the octagon. He's definitely a finisher. Sometimes he's gotten in trouble, and a lot of these claims for playing with his food come from playing these claims for fight IQ come from like him playing with his food a little and like fucking even in the Thiago Santos fight, it was like, man, this dude is legitimately in there with this killer just fucking off. I mean, he's like having a good time, like joking around in there talking. It's like, yo, this dude's trying to take your head off. But he did take him 3 rounds. Santos was 2 of him in there. He was huge. Brendan Allen's another. I mean, Brendan Allen's legit. And super high on that dude. And, he did get choked out in that fight. But, since then, the Buckley fight, maybe he fought him a little crazy, reckless at some points. But, he looked comfortable in there. He's always comfortable in there. And, it seems like he's just still learning, still getting better. Obviously ran through Fluffy. And, losing to Brendan Allen's nothing to, beat yourself up too much about. They had that close fight with Alessio, but he had that broken hand or shoulder. He had fucked up his shoulder. Gerald Meerschaert's on this card, and that was a good fight. A guy who, let's just be real, is just way bigger than him. Way bigger. Gerald Meerschaert was just about to fight Ed Herman at 205. You got Holland, man, this is crazy. Holland's honestly, like, he's tall, but he's not a big 85er. Holland's, he's a submission threat for sure. Like, he's actually one of these, the black belt gets thrown around so much when you talk about these fighters, but he's like a legitimate black belt. So, I could see him catching Darren Stewart in something, but I definitely think this line is a little bit scary. Like, minus 265 gets a little scary with you having somebody who has had a little bit of fight IQ troubles, but maybe not made like the smartest, safest decisions. But I just feel like Darren Stewart, man, we've seen him like in there. He did get that guillotine win in his last fight over Maki Pitolo, but that goes down as a finish and an impressive win. But people kind of forget, like, he was getting pieced up a little bit before that happened. And, I don't know. We've seen him even before then. The Edmund Shabazian fight is like, okay, a split decision over Edmund. That was something that kind of scared me going into Edmund's last fight because the fact that, I couldn't get him out of there. It was a relatively good fight. Darren Stewart's definitely scrappy. He's tough. He's hard to get out of there. But, Julian Marquez, him and Carl Roberson, those 2 solid guys. Losing to them, getting, submitted by them is nothing to beat yourself up about either. But, if you look at, like, his wins, like, his losses, you can't are nobody. Even Bartos, that dude, losing the decision to him, it's nothing to beat yourself up on too much either. That dude is, at what he does, he's good. So his losses aren't really anything to beat yourself up much but his wins, he hasn't really beat anybody too impressive. Kevin Holland's beat the more impressive opponents. So I don't know. Kevin Holland, it's not like he's an older guy. Darren Stewart 29, Kevin Holland's right around there 27, but I like that experience from just being in there with more higher level guys. I feel like this just gives Kevin Holland a bit of an advantage. I feel like on the mat, even though Darren Stewart might have a bit of a strength advantage and wrestling, at least offensive, but I don't know. In the wrestling department, Kevin is not too bad either. And if he gets taken down, I feel like he has so many weapons there. He could submit Stewart off his back. He could definitely sweep him. I think if he just wants to get up, he should be able to. I got Holland here, and I think he's a decent parlay piece. I know a lot of people don't like betting on him because of some decisions he makes in there, but I just feel like he's just better in every department. He should win this fight. And moving into this next fight, we have Mackenzie Dern taking on Ronda Markos, and this is a little crazy. a lot of Ronda Markos 10-9, not the greatest record. Mackenzie Dern, they're trying to build this girl up, and I mean she's a decent underdog in this one. A decent favorite in this one, -165. And I've been seeing a lot of people picking her. I'm not seeing a lot of people picking Ronda, but I don't know if that's like, I know Mackenzie's. I mean, that loss she had, even though it was to Amanda Ribas, which you definitely like can't be sad about that. Amanda Ribas, we're learning more and more that girl's super legit. But Ronda Markos, I mean, if you go through her losses, she has some not the best losses, but at the same time, I mean, if you look at a lot of these girls she's fought, it's way better competition than who Mackenzie Dern has fought. Amanda Ribas, so they both lost there. Ashley Yoder, Claudia Gadelia, Angela Hill, Marina Rodriguez, Nina Ansaroff, Julia Lima, Alexa Grassa, Carla Esparza, Courtney Casey, Carolina Kowalkiewicz, Jessica Penne, Justine Kish. These are all, say what you want, these are all experienced, good martial artists, higher level martial artists than Mackenzie Dern's fighting. And another thing people aren't really talking much about is Ronda's wrestling is not that bad. Mackenzie Dern has power. We've seen her she's with that club and sub, land a bomb, go to her submission game. But I feel like on the feet, Ronda should have the advantage here. Mackenzie might have more power, but Ronda has the more clean striking, the more experience on the feet. And if Mackenzie can't get her down, I don't think if Ronda's smart and her coaches have given her a good game plan, you would think don't take Mackenzie Dern down. So you keep it on the feet. Mackenzie Dern, we've seen her pull guard several times. She really might go to that, but if Ronda could keep it on the feet, I feel like she could totally win 2 rounds. Just win 2 rounds. She's not gonna finish Mackenzie Dern, I don't think, but 2 rounds and just keep it on the feet. If anybody, I don't think Mackenzie Dern's wrestling is there yet. She just hasn't shown it. I haven't seen it. So, honestly, I might, not only do I think this line's off, I actually would probably just straight up pick Ronda Markos over Mackenzie Dern. Unless I see something at the weigh-in I don't like, I just feel like, the one record's pretty while the other one's a little salty, but man, Markos, just that experience, I know Mackenzie's going to be working hard. They're building her up. They're putting everything. She's definitely, there's no way she doesn't have a good team of coaches around her, even on the side, not just that we're seeing, just as the UFC has been investing a lot into her. But I don't know, man. I feel like this could be a little bit of a mismatch, honestly. If she can't get Ronda down, I don't know if she can just land one big bomb on the feet to try to, even if I doubt knock her out, but even her plan to just rock her, club and sub, I don't know. I just feel like Ronda's striking is just a little bit better, honestly, and she should be able to take this one. So I'm gonna take Ronda Markos. Plus 145. I think that's pretty, it's lower level women's MMA, but if you're going to take one, you might as well get an underdog price. So moving into this next fight, and now we're getting into some bangers. Next one, we got Johnny Walker versus Ryan Spann. And man, both these guys are this is, of course, the line. Okay, now Johnny Walker is a slight favorite. But this line has been almost a pick-em this whole time. And, that shows how, Johnny Walker has a little, the hype train kind of got a little bit, I won't say derailed, but it got a little bit, it's a little off track for right now, after his last 2 fights. The Corey Anderson knockout in the first round, and that decision to Nikita Krylov. When he was coming off that Meerschaert knockout in like 30 seconds, he was definitely, I mean, people were talking about him fighting John Jones. This is the guy to beat John Jones. He is definitely super explosive. He can definitely knock a lot of people out, especially at the light heavyweight division, where a lot of these guys do not have the greatest footwork and are not the fastest. And he is fast. He's super fast for a light heavyweight, but and explosive. But Ryan Spann, I mean, he is a little undersized at light heavyweight. Looks a little smaller when you saw them size up to each other, but I don't know, man. Early on, I've had a little bit of a lead. Oh man, oh yeah, a little bit of a lean towards Ryan Spann. I mean, Johnny's been switching camps a lot. Now he's over at SBG. He's been trading camps a lot, and I really feel like that's tough to do in the middle, like, and to not get like a solid, 6 months in with a camp before you get in a fight. Even really like longer than that. I mean, you're moving around a lot. You got to get to know your coaches. They got to get to know your game. It's tough when your coaches are like you're in fight camp and they're like still learning what your pros and cons and where your weaknesses are. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. And not to mention that's a lot of like change in your life. Getting into a camp, and he spoke on it a little bit and talked about how he wants to settle down, this and that. And it's like, you're even saying yourself that's the best move, but yet you're in a fight camp right now. And I mean, it's a close, even money fight almost. Actually, you're getting a bit of a underdog price for Ryan Spann. I mean, we've seen, even before the UFC, we've seen Johnny get clipped. We've seen his defense is not the greatest. I don't know, man. I mean, I haven't made the bet yet, which shows you that I'm a little scared that Johnny could clip him. I think someone's definitely going to sleep, but I mean, you could see them come in a little bit hesitant. They're both coming off. Well, actually, Ryan Spann, he didn't lose to Sam Alvey, but that was a really dicey fight. It's funny because he won the fight, but I've just seen so much like most people when they talk about that fight, still they talk about it almost in a negative light for him because they just thought he was going to go in there and knock Sam Alvey out. And people sleep on Sam Alvey a little bit, man. He's just so like unassuming, but I mean, he's legit at what he does, and he still has fucking power. He can still clip you. So he definitely had a little trouble in that fight, but I do like I have a slight lean right now to Ryan Spann. I feel like especially third time's the charm. At a bit of an underdog price, I really just I don't know. I think Spann could get this done, especially knowing Johnny's just gonna come out, do Johnny Walker shit in that first round. Ryan Spann's just a little bit more traditional, and I mean, you could definitely see him. I mean, I've seen Johnny Walker get clipped by lower level guys than Ryan Spann. I mean, Ryan Spann has a hell of a overhand right, which has given Johnny Walker issues in the past. Man, I could see both these guys getting clipped, to be honest, in the first round. I think that might be the way to play it, but it's juiced. So, I mean, what is that line right now? It's probably just even the under 1.5 is minus or negative money, minus 120. You got 2.5 at minus 217. So, if you want to lay that chalk, you can, but I would understand if you didn't. I just feel like someone's probably going to go to sleep, and I lean Ryan Spann doing the sleeping, but we'll see. Getting into this next one, though, we got Khamzat Chimaev taking on Gerald Meerschaert, and we've seen a lot of hype trains lately get derailed. I'm really hoping this one does not only because I love this guy, his style's awesome, but spoiler alert, I have a little money on him here. A decent amount of money on him here. Now that line is a little crazy. It's minus 390 or plus 320 for Gerald right now. But I actually got on it when it was like it lowered down a little bit to like 340, 350. Yeah, I don't think I got it. I think it was 340 on some lines, but I got it at 350. And I mean, I know that line's still probably a little juiced for someone who's 8-0 against someone with 40 plus fights. That means a lot. We've seen that come back to bite people a lot lately. But I really, if this was not a Dagestani savage, then maybe I would not want to bet somebody with how fourth of the fights. But I really have to believe these guys when they say that they've just been fighting over there. And I don't just mean like in the street. I'm talking about like they actually compete. They're actually doing, like they're actually having amateur fights over there, like on the regular. The sparring over there is just, they're a little old school. And them dude, I just feel like this dude, man, you see him over there sparring with Gustafsson. I just feel like this guy, man, yeah, he's only 8-0, but what we've seen from him so far has just been like domination. I mean, I know everybody talks about his wrestling and his top game and his ground and pound, but even his striking seems legit. I mean, his cardio's checked out so far. It's definitely a step up in competition. Gerald could be getting slept on here. He has 40 plus fights, tied for the most submissions at middleweight, and he's got a bit of a size advantage on Khamzat. But I just feel like at the end of the day, man, now I thought about it and now it won't go away. This happened couple, like, what was like 5 videos ago. Anyways, Khamzat, I really feel like, man, I would love it if he comes out and just stands with Gerald for a little bit. I really feel like he might just be able to just use his wrestling to just keep it on the feet and just piece Gerald up. He has a lot more power. He throws good head kicks. He can throw in combination with power and all the punches and each punch in the combination, right? Like, which is something you don't see, especially like from a lot of these grapplers, especially these grapplers with less than 10 fights. He can throw a 3-piece combination and all 3 punches actually have power. I've seen him. I mean, he's actually was forced to stay on the feet in one of his fights before coming to the UFC for a little bit. And, I mean, he looked good. He honestly his chins looked like it's held up. Even though he doesn't get hit a lot. He's a little smaller. Over 5 than Gerald here, but not by a ton. And, I mean, like I said, he makes up for that power and strength. I feel like he can pick Gerald up and just... I mean, it's... The size doesn't matter a ton when you have a wrestling pedigree like that. It'll matter a little bit more on the feet. But Gerald, I mean, people say, oh, he won that fight. But, the size advantage he had over Dern Win was absolutely insane to watch. And, I mean, dude, before that, like, he got him out of there, that was a little dicey. I mean, like, it's just... I'm not that impressed with Gerald. He's one of these guys, like I said earlier, Andre Ewell being able to use his range. Gerald is somebody who like is really long, and I know in that Eric Spicely fight he threw that sick body kick, and he has thrown that body kick in other fights. But in general, man, he just doesn't use his range a ton. Like, he doesn't use his range very well, and he doesn't wear damage very well. And I could see Khamzat landing a bomb, club and sub. I could see that happening. I could see him just taking him down, just wearing on him on top, ground and pound. It's only 3 rounds. I mean, if it was 5 rounds, maybe I'd be a little bit more scared. But 3 rounds, I feel like Khamzat's going to take this. So, Khamzat, another parlay piece. I will break down these parlays, how I did them at the end. But getting into this next fight, we got Donald Cerrone and Nico Price in the co-main. And my friends are going to hate me for this one. And they're going to call me a traitor because Donald's my boy. Got to meet him a couple times too, and That's my boy. I fuck with him. But he's an absolute veteran and an OG. But man, he's fighting a true 170er on Saturday. A lot of times, rightfully so. No. Okay. A lot of times, they've been matching him up with these 155ers that are just bumping up like he is to 170. But this is a true 170er. Nico could not make 155 if his life depended on it. He's just too big. Even though Donald's a little taller, he's got these freakishly long arms, 76-inch reach. And, man, like Donald Cerrone is probably the better striker. He probably has a better jiu-jitsu. He probably has the better wrestling. He might even have better cardio. But the thing is, man, like, he just doesn't have the durability that he used to. Not that he was always, like, he was never the guy that, like, just ate shots and had, like, an endless, durability or chin. But, I mean, it's the fight game. This shit is ruthless. And eventually, like, it catches up to you. And it's not like just it's not just, oh, he doesn't have a chin. No, it's just, like, his body. Like, he can't take punishment the same way. Like, his arms, legs, and not like his body can't take punishment the same way. He's been in so many fights. He's literally has all of these UFC records for like most wins, most fights, most finishes. But that shit'll take a toll on you, especially when you fight like Donald Cerrone. When you have 50 pro fights and you're going out there and trading, half the time, I mean, yeah, he's not Justin Gaethje style, but at the same time, I mean, he's striking, he's trying to knock you out, and he's fought 50 times trying to knock people out. That's going to take a toll on you. I literally respect the shit out of Donald Cerrone. I just can't bet him against anybody with a lot of power. Somebody who doesn't have the greatest durability against a guy with a lot of power. And we've seen he's a slow starter. Nico is the opposite of a slow starter. I mean, Donald usually steps up in these type of fights. You look at his last wins: Quinta, Alex Hernandez, Mike Perry. I mean, I feel like I might be missing one. Am I missing one right now? I'm missing one. I actually thought he might have won that Anthony Pettis fight, but even Yancy Medeiros, like these step ups, a lot of times, like he shows them, like even Rick Story, like. He ends up like kind of knocking them back down to the like level of competition they were fighting at before, and he's just been like the best definition of a gatekeeper right there. And when those guys come up, he usually shines. But I just feel like somebody with the power, Nico Price, somebody with the finishing capabilities, Nico Price, at some point of the fight, he's gonna catch Donald or something, and Donald's just not gonna be able to eat it like he used to. I love Donald, absolute legend, Hall of Famer. But this is just a bad matchup for him. In the sense of, like I just said, he matches up well against him in the sense of he does have the better kickboxing. He does have the better jiu-jitsu, wrestling, probably cardio even. If Nico can't finish him in the first 2 rounds, you could see him start slowing down just because he puts 100% in every single one of his shots. He's going to be trying to take Donald's head clean off, most likely. So if that doesn't happen, you could see Donald's just kickboxing prowess start coming through in that 3rd round. He's just a slicker striker, but I just feel like he's going to get clipped at some point. He's not going to be able to. He just doesn't wear damage like he used to be able to. So I'm going to have to take Nico Price here at minus 150. I wouldn't parlay it too heavy, No. But I do think he should win. I do think as I get y'all number 7 out, that Nico Price should take this, and it'll be a biggest win of his career. And Donald Cerrone, I love that dude, man. He's too savage for his own good. I just not against power punchers anymore, man. Getting into this main event though, man, you got the longly is that a word? Anticipated Colby Covington, Tyron Woodley. I wish this fight would have happened like 3 years ago, but here we are. And now it's Colby Covington versus Woodley instead of Woodley versus Covington because Woodley has not looked great. So, like, lately, I've been a long time advocate of Woodley, saying that people slept on him, saying that he
is super underrated and people don't want to give him the props. And even though he asked for the Conor, the Diaz, all these fights, he never got him. He always fought the absolute toughest matchups. And even if he didn't finish some of these guys, he wasn't supposed to be Wonder Boy. And he, had the draw, but then he also beat him the other time. And he was supposed to lose that fight.
And then even Maia, it's like Maia was choking everybody out. The UFC didn't want to give that man a title shot, and like that's how you fight Maia. You don't you friggin' end up on top of that guy. He takes your back, chokes you, or you try to pound him out. He ends up on your back, chokes you. Hey, Woodley, that was domination. I can't knock a guy for that. But man, lately in these last couple of fights, he just hasn't looked the same. He's not letting his hands go. I know he's talked a lot about in this fight, I'm going to let my hands go in this one. It's a rivalry, too, so people think that he's going to let his hands go. Everybody thinks he's going to let his hands go in this one. But in the last 10 rounds we've seen him fight, he has not, he just hasn't done much in general. He's just kind of waiting for his moment, and then next thing you know, it's the third round, and he's down about to be 3 rounds, and he hasn't done shit. I mean, in the last 10 rounds of his career, he hasn't really done anything. He's been on the defense for 10 rounds. He's been trying to survive for 10 rounds. And I feel like, what are the ways to beat Woodley? Cardio, pressure, high pace, a good chin, just everything that describes Colby. This crazy pace, this great chin, offensive wrestling, fucking volume. He's gonna throw so much more volume. Woodley has to knock him out, because if he's not, he's gonna be getting outstruck 60-3 every round. The judges are just gonna be sitting there, even if Colby's just jabbing him, just touching him, just pop shotting him. Well, not pop shotting, because he actually throws combination, but these little 25%, even though I know people are saying, oh, he's going to go orthodox in this fight, regardless of all that. Even if he's just tapping him 300 times, if Woodley doesn't knock him out, he's going to lose every round until he does so. I just feel like Colby, he just has the exact ways that Kamaru and Gilbert have won. Are the exact ways that Colby fights, and Colby's even better at those things. This pace and pressure and cardio, and that's Colby. That's how he fights. So I get that everyone's saying, "Oh, Tyron could knock him out." I also think people are thinking with their heart. They don't like Colby, but you don't have to like Colby. You gotta admit he's good, and I really feel like, man, the things that he brings to the table are the things that are Woodley's kryptonite. And man, I get he's got a puncher's chance, and he very well could knock out anybody. He could knock out a heavyweight. He could knock out Francis Ngannou with that overhand right. And Colby has shown that he's there to be hit sometimes. But he has a motherfucking chin. He fought 3 rounds with Kamaru with that shit looking like it was hanging. I gotta lean Colby. If he doesn't get knocked out, if Woodley doesn't land his one pull, he likes to throw that pull, yeah, that big old right hand. He does have that pull, quick right hand, and then he's got that big old fucking telegraphed overhand right. Man, that right hand though, in both scenarios, will lay your dick in the dirt. If he lands that shit, he could definitely knock Colby out. But, I mean, are you really trying to bet on Tyron on the sole chance that he lands a right hand? Not just any right hand, but the death right hand that we haven't seen since Robbie Lawler? I don't know, man. I'm gonna go Colby, because I feel like we could see him finish Tyron. I want to go Colby by decision, but I really feel like even if Woodley, if it is true what he's saying, he's gonna open up. That's just all the more reason to feel like he's gonna gas. And you could see a late finish by Colby just off the sheer, Woodley just can't, he's too tired. He can't get out of position. He turtles or something. He's just eating shots. They're not going to be crazy powerful shots, but he's just not going to be able to move because he's just so gassed. I mean, I could see that happening, a late finish. Most likely a decision. But bottom line is I'm going Colby. And now that we've talked about all that, let's go about how we're going to just go with these parlays. So I do have Nico Price at minus 150. I do have Tyson Nam at minus 175. As far as parlays, my most confident pick is going to be Colby Covington. My second most confident pick is going to be Khamzat Chimaev. My third most confident pick is probably going to be Andre Ewell. And I put 4. And my fourth confident pick is probably going to be Kevin Holland. And, well, I'm going to put TJ Laramie, Kevin Holland. So it's like Colby and Khamzat should be like your anchors. They're like in my opinion, Colby and Khamzat are winning their fights. That's what's happening. Then you got the next tier. You have Andre Ewell, Kevin Holland, and TJ Laramie. And the TJ Laramie line's a little wider, but he's going against a finisher. There's that one's a little scary, but I feel like he should get it done. Hey, the MMA game is scary, but I feel like 8 times out of 10, Laramie's gonna get that done. So I'm going Laramie, I'm going Kevin Holland, and I'm going Andre Ewell, but I wouldn't put them in that tier of Colby Covington and Khamzat Chimaev. They're in that next B tier. Below that, I'd put Nico Price. I would put, I would put Baeza in there. Now, minus 300, I'm good. But I do think Baeza wins, but, I don't want to pay minus... Oh, I laid off... I didn't say Tyson Nam. So, under that... so, you got Colby and Khamzat. Then you got Holland, Laramie, and Holland, Laramie, and Andre Ewell. And then third tier, or C tier, you got Tyson Nam at first, then Nico Price. Then you got like maybe... yeah. I mean, because I'm going to lay off some of these female fights unless I'm taking a dog. I'm not adding that into a parlay. So, probably, after Nam and Nico Price, maybe the dog and Ryan Spann, or, maybe, obvious, like we said, Baeza, but that line is off. And then the Dvorak and Espinosa, that's just... I feel like that really could go either way. That one and the Costa Newson fight. And that's basically it, man. I really feel like this is a parlay card. So maybe take, Colby, and then you mix them with some of that next tier. You go Colby. You could do a Colby. So I have a Colby and Khamzat. I have Colby, Khamzat, Ewell, Holland. I have Colby, Laramie. I have Khamzat, Laramie. Like mix and match it. Don't go too much ownership for any fighter. But in my opinion, I'm going to have the most ownership on Colby and Khamzat. I'm going to have the next most ownership on Laramie, Holland, and Ewell. And then I'm going to have a little ownership Nico Price, Nam, and I'm playing those two straight up too. And then I might take a little dog shot on Ryan Spann. I might take a little dog shot on Randy Costa. But that's about it for me right now. I am gonna have another video coming after the weigh-ins, as always. Probably, if not, either Friday morning, Saturday night. So make sure you have notifications on. I like to get a lot of tape in. Like usually, the end of the week, I like to, after the weigh-ins happen, especially the way these cards have happened, there's been so many late additions. It looks like we're knock on wood, we're looking good. But maybe Bektik gets another opponent. We'll see what's up with that. We'll see after the weigh-in to get some last-minute tape in after that, especially if there's any late additions. And then probably Friday night. But if there's like more than one fight card or fight added, maybe just Saturday morning. But at the absolute latest, noon Saturday. Make sure you're subbed. Make sure you got notifications on. And drop a comment and let me know that you actually sat here and watched this long-ass breakdown, because this is the longest one we've done in a while because it's 14 fights. I'm still going to have a short video, like I said, just showing my bets, just showing my favorite plays. But so make sure you got your notifications, you're subbed, and let me know what plays you're making. Let me know which ones you disagree with. And shit, man, I will see you guys at that next video. And live on Twitch in like an hour. And follow me on Twitter, because I will be live tweeting my plays. And if you didn't follow me on Twitter last week, you missed out on 2 for 2, especially that plus 450, which we absolutely killed. So we've been killing it with those Twitter live plays the past like 3-4 weeks. So follow me on there. And shit, I appreciate y'all, man. I will see y'all at that next video. Peace.